bizarre stories from the subscribers. Hello, Leo. My name is Janaina. The story I'm going to tell you today was something that happened in my house, and I still remember it to this day. In our neighborhood, there were a lot of reports of home intruders. More than 15 houses had been reported in just 1 month, man. And the most curious thing was that nobody had seen the guy who was doing it. There were no signs of forced entry in the houses. The only thing they took was the person's pet. Not even security cameras had captured images of this pet thief criminal. Thank God it had never happened at my house. I love my little cutie and I couldn't stand to lose her, right? Until one day something strange happened. It was really hot and I woke up sweating. It was around 3 in the morning. I decided to take a shower to cool off and see if I could get back to sleep peacefully. Even with the fan on, it was tough, Leo. When I went into the bathroom, I saw that the shower drain was open. That's strange. I went there and closed it. I started taking my shower. That's when I felt something passing by my foot. When I looked down, the drain was open again. I thought it was some rat that was around there. I washed my feet and got out of there right away. I poured some alcohol just to make sure it was clean. Alright then. After I was almost falling asleep, I heard my dog barking. I woke up kind of dizzy. When I focused my sight, she wasn't there. But there was a wet trail on the floor that led to the bathroom. I went there quickly, and when I opened the door, my dog was being pulled into the drain. I couldn't see what it was, but it looked like a tongue or something like that. I grabbed her paws and pulled her back. That thing was really strong, and I almost couldn't hold on to my dog. That's when the thing couldn't pull anymore and went back inside. I locked the bathroom and my bedroom, and I tried to sleep. The next morning, I told my dad that the drain needed repairs. I told him he should replace it with one that has screws, man, and that something came out from inside there. He thought it could be a rat, since those animals are the ones that can open the drain and go through the pipes and all. But I knew it wasn't a rat. I saw that thing. Everything was fine until the end of the day. Then again, I woke up in the middle of the night. But this time it was because I needed to pee. After what happened yesterday, I avoided going to the bathroom. I was almost bursting, almost peeing myself. There was no way I had to go there, so I went with a stick in my hand, right? What if that thing showed up again? While I was relieving myself, I saw bubbles coming out of the toilet. Right away, I stood up and flushed. I grabbed a bottle of bleach and poured it all in. I closed the lid and kept pressing down. That thing was hitting the lid hard, man, and I didn't let it out no matter what. Damn! After a few minutes, it stopped. I flushed again and it got clogged. I saw water leaking from the side of the toilet, man, and that water, man, it stank like crazy. It wouldn't go down anymore. I grabbed the stick and started pushing everything down inside, hoping that thing would disappear, but it just wouldn't go down. I closed the lid and went back to my room. The next morning, my parents asked me what happened in the bathroom. And I said, that there was something in the toilet and I poured bleach to kill it. They called pest control to solve this pest problem. But the curious thing is that after that day, nothing strange happened in my house. I believe it's some creature using the sewer to hunt its victims. And the victims in this case are the pets, right, man? Dogs and stuff. Good thing it didn't manage to take my cute little dog. Anyway, if you're listening to this story, be careful. Protect your family and your pets. This video is sponsored by Leo's store. Take a look there. They've got lots of comics for you. Hello Leo, my name is Rubinho and I'm going to tell you about something strange, man, that I witnessed about 2 years ago. I was at my cousin's house and we were playing hide and seek in the street. Besides us, there were a few other kids. It was around 5 o'clock when we started playing and I was the seeker, right? So I went to the lamppost and started counting from 1 to 10. When I got to 5, a boy showed up asking to join the game. So I said, "Alright man, go ahead. Everyone is already hiding. Just tell me your name." "My name is Irani. Thank you so much for letting me play with you. I'll never forget this, my friend. Can I call you my friend, right?" "Thanks. I'm going to hide now." So I started counting and then I went to look for everyone. The guys weren't very creative and ended up hiding in obvious places, like up in a tree, under cars, and behind bushes. I managed to find almost everyone. The only one left was the boy who joined later, named Irani. Rubinho, you found everyone. Now let's go to the next round. Hold on, man, we're still missing Irani. He hid, I can't see him anywhere." Who is that?" "I thought he was someone you knew from the street, man. He asked me to join the game and I let him. I don't know anyone with that name around here. That's strange." So I kept looking and found nothing. It seemed like the kid had disappeared. It got dark, so we decided to play again the next day. So the next day we went to play again, but this time it was soccer. And at one point I kicked the ball so hard that it landed in an area full of bushes and trees behind the goal. When I went to get it, to my surprise, Irani was there. "Hey man, you disappeared yesterday. Where were you hiding that I couldn't find you?" "It ended up getting too dark, right man? To finish the game, I've been hiding here since yesterday. Waiting for you to find me. You were the only one who let me play, but you ended up forgetting about me. What are you talking about, man? I'll put an end to your game." "Leo, that was really weird. The kid looked like he was possessed by something evil. What kind of kid can pop a soccer ball in his hand like that, man?" "What is that?" "Come back here." He came running at me and I ran away. You couldn't hear him running, man. I looked back and saw him coming, but I didn't hear anything. When I saw the kids, I told everyone to run and we all went back to our street. I told them what happened, but nobody believed me. They thought I was making up the whole story and that this Irani probably didn't even exist. "You're lying. You keep mentioning a kid, but there's no one here except us. Are you crazy?" "Honestly, I've suspected you were like this, always causing trouble for a while now." I felt offended that they doubted what I was seeing. So the day ended and I went home. Sometime later, my cousin said he found the ball popped in the place where we played. And I also found out something even weirder, that the only person named Irani in that neighborhood was a boy who died 15 years ago. He was a person without friends and was always looking for someone to play with him. Bizarre stories from the subscribers. Hello Leo, my name is Barbara, and today I'm going to tell you a story that happened at the beginning of the school year in 2022. I was in the second year of high school. I had moved to a new school in a new city. So right on the first day I tried to get to know the people. During the break I met a girl named Verônica. She was really nice to me. Soon we started getting closer and sitting together in class. After a week at this new school, I was going to the bathroom. A girl from the class suddenly appeared behind me. I was startled and asked what she wanted. She told me to stay away from Verônica because she wasn't a good person. She was involved with black magic. And according to the girl, Verônica had supposedly caused the death of a former friend because of disagreements. So I went back to the classroom and asked Verônica what she thought about the people in the class. And she told me that she didn't get along with anyone. Only with me, actually. I imagined she might have had some problem the previous year, but I ignored it. But as time went by, more people started warning me about who Verônica was and about her involvement in a tragedy. So I gradually started distancing myself and sitting in other places in the classroom. But Verônica became more aggressive. She kept asking me why I was acting differently. And I wasn't the same anymore. She even started following me when I was going back home, Leo. Until one day I was sleeping and I heard a noise. I looked to the side and saw that my backpack had fallen, but I didn't pay much attention to it. I closed my eyes and I think I fell asleep. But after a while, I feel like I'm an insect. Crawling on my hand, I woke up shaking my hand, and when I shined my phone's light, the floor was infested with cockroaches. They were swarming and all coming from the same place, my backpack. Among the cockroaches, there were scorpions, centipedes, and other venomous creatures. I jumped up screaming and ran out of the room. My parents woke up with all that noise and came to see me. When they went to check my room, everything was normal. No sign of cockroach, beetle, centipede, snake, or any other creature. They said I was dreaming and I thought that was true. They went back to their room and I went to put my backpack back in its place, right? But then I got this feeling and decided to look inside my backpack, and Leo had a really strange little cloth bag tied up with something inside. I picked it up. I'd never seen it before. I looked inside and there were things that looked like pieces of bone and other stuff in there, man. I took it and threw it far away from my house. That could only have been something from Verônica. If what that girl said is true, I'm in danger. So, back at school, she seemed surprised to see me. She must have expected that witchcraft to finish me off, right? So every time I was leaving Leo, I checked my backpack, and about 4 times I found that damn little bag. I asked my mom to let me leave that school because I wasn't doing very well. However, I was only able to change classes. That was already a relief for me. Just not having to be near that girl was already a relief. Last month I heard that Verônica left the school because of health problems, and I never saw her again. It's a good thing I was quick to find those things in my backpack. I might not be here today telling this story. Thank you, Leo. This video is sponsored by Leo's store. Check it out. There are lots of comics for you. Hello, Leo. My name is Josias, and I'm going to tell you something that happened at my school. More specifically, in physical education class. Well, in every school I've attended, I've always had physical education classes. On the court, right? Futsal, soccer, volleyball, basketball, and at my current school there was a pool, but it was always closed off and there was never any water in it until that year they were going to reopen it and make it available for students to have a swimming class. I thought that was pretty cool, right? Because I had never learned how to swim, it would be a unique opportunity. So the classes started. I skipped getting in the water during the first class because I didn't have swim trunks yet. My mom still needed to buy them for me. So I just watched. And something crazy happened, Leo. A classmate was swimming and out of nowhere he sank. Just like a rock. They had to grab him by the arm and pull him up to the surface so he wouldn't drown, man. He said something had pulled him to the bottom of the pool. But it seemed like he was just making up some excuse. That he actually didn't know how to swim and blamed it on something else, you know? What's even stranger is that the same thing happened in the other classes, man. Reports that they were swimming and suddenly just sank out of nowhere. Even experienced students who already knew how to swim, man, they sank like a rock and had to be pulled out. But people from outside, man, right in these first days, man, there were already a bunch of reports. That's bizarre, that there was some creature at the bottom of the pool. Pulling people down, man. Nobody wanted to take that class anymore, man. They made up excuses saying they couldn't go. Even medical certificates were handed in at the office, hoping not to have to get into that pool. But until then, I was skeptical. It was then that the following week, when I was going to that class, I overheard a conversation between the teacher and the school principal. They were talking in an area near the pool, but a little further away. And I stayed behind the door listening, right? They were talking as if something was wrong, man. But Sonia, I thought this problem had already been solved. We can't reopen that area with that thing still there. I thought they had already solved that issue. Are you going to wait like last time when there were fatalities? I'm just following orders from above. We can't shut it down again for years like last time. I'm out of this. I quit. I can't take carrying this responsibility on my shoulders anymore. That's when, on the same day, we were left without a teacher and the pool classes were suspended. So, they sent us to the court to play ball during PE classes until they found another teacher, right? The following week, specifically on Monday, when I arrived at school, there was a crowd of students in front of the school with a notice that classes were suspended with no apparent reason. We found out later that over the past weekend, some teenagers had jumped into the school to swim in the pool and were found lifeless at the bottom of it. Traces of alcohol bottles around the pool showed that they were drunk, right? And they must have thought that the cause of death was because of that, but I think something really lives there. Since then, I never went near that pool again. Bizarre stories from the subscribers. Hi Leo, I'm thrilled to share my story. I am Igor, a 16-year-old who works at a popular supermarket here in my region. The supermarket has 3 floors and it's pretty big. The first floor is the shopping area. That's where the products are displayed for customers to walk around and shop. The second floor is the administrative area, where the employees work in the offices. The cafeteria is also there. The stockroom is on the 3rd floor, where I frequently picked up products, since I'm a bagger. One day my boss asked me to go up to the 3rd floor to drop off newly arrived boxes, as I had stocked everything and was waiting to leave. He told me to take those boxes, so I took the freight elevator. It's a really old elevator. I'm always afraid to get into that thing. I pray it doesn't fall, man, so when I got to the 3rd floor, I went to the unloading area. And I just left the boxes there. Man, it was pitch dark. It was around 8:30 and I was already really tired. I remember feeling dizzy and sat down to catch my breath. Out of the corner of my eye, I looked to the side. Out of the corner of my eye, I got startled when I saw someone. Leo. When I blinked and tried to focus, he wasn't there anymore. Leo, that area used to close early and there was no one else there. But he was wearing an employee uniform, the kind that restocks products, man. I got really scared after that and left there in a hurry. I told my boss that I saw someone up there, but everyone was already leaving, and he told me the following. Many years ago, a guy from the grocery section went up there to get some things. However, when he got there, he ended up getting fatally injured by a load that collapsed on top of him. He ended up being crushed, right, man? He didn't make it. After I heard that, Leo, I was sure that it was the soul of that guy I saw that night. Every time I go there, I'm really careful so nothing falls on me. And I always get ready to see that guy's soul, but I never saw it again. Thank God. Right, Leo? Thank you for reading my story. This video is sponsored by Leo's store. Take a look there. They've got a lot of comics for you. My name is Daniel, and in high school, I loved spending hours in my school's library until I moved to a new one. Studying and reading were my favorite activities, but I always felt a sinister presence in the current library. Even though I knew it wasn't real, I never paid much attention to it. I just chalked it up to my wild imagination, right? But one day, while I was studying alone, I started to hear strange noises coming from behind one of the shelves, and I saw a shadowy figure dressed in white. It was the ghostly janitor of the library who had died in a tragic way. Years ago, I had heard about this story of the janitor. They said he had been the victim of a cruel prank by the students. They had put oil on the library floor, causing him to slip and hit his head on the ground, sending him to the other world. Since then, they say the spirit of that janitor haunted the library, but I had never seen it. Until now, he is looking for revenge, and any student could be his victim. I tried to run away, but the library doors were locked. That thing started to get closer to me. I tried to hide under a table, but the spirit seemed to know exactly where I was. Suddenly, the lights burst. Man, and I heard that creature's sinister laugh. I tried to move quietly to find a way out, right? But the ghost always seemed to be one step ahead of me. I managed to open the door, and at that moment, I ran straight home, man. Then I decided to close off a library for several months for maintenance, man. Even after reopening, I never returned. It was always empty. Thank you for reading my story, Leo. I'm Marcolino. When this happened, I was 18 years old. I was coming back home after a tiring shift at work. The train was the last one of the night, and I was anxious, to get home and rest. So I got on the train and almost fell asleep during the whole ride, man. When I got to my platform, I went to get off the train. But suddenly, something pulled me by the foot. Before I could react, I fell into the gap between the platform and the train, man. I still tried to hold on, but I couldn't, and I fell into that darkness. I tried to get up, but my legs seemed to be twisted. I had no strength, man. Maybe it was even broken, man. I tried to scream for help, but my voice was swallowed by the silence of the darkness. Hello, is anyone there? Oh my God, what is that? I started hearing strange noises, like something was dragging itself in my direction. I was really scared, man, and I didn't know what to do. Suddenly, the train started to move, leaving me behind. I was completely alone in the dark. I kept hearing strange noises, like something was approaching me. Then I saw something move in the darkness, but I couldn't identify what it was. I was trapped there with no way out. When suddenly I started to feel something pulling my foot. I tried to break free, but it was useless. My legs wouldn't respond to my command. I was being pulled into a darker place, man. I felt a superhuman force holding me, and I couldn't break free. Now I was trapped, unable to get out and unable to scream. I was already losing all my strength. Time went by and I was tired, without hope. Suddenly I heard someone's voice, but I couldn't tell where it was coming from. The voice asked me to hold its hand and let myself go. So I didn't know what to do, but I felt it was my only chance to escape. Then someone grabbed my hand and I held on really tight, man. Immediately I was pulled up to the surface and then I blacked out. I woke up in the hospital with no memories of what had happened. The doctors said I had been found unconscious in the gap between the platform and the train, and I was never able to explain what really happened there that night. I just knew there was something down there, something dark and menacing that wasn't from this world. From that day on, I learned about 5 more cases involving people falling between the car and the train and disappearing. And what's curious is that the media only reports that these people were trying to go from one train to another without paying the fare. So instead of going to the turnstile and paying, they would be crossing the tracks and end up getting hurt, right? And not being able to get out of there. But I know that's not what happened that night. And luckily, someone pulled me out, man, and I managed to survive. Be careful out there, folks. When you're around trains, that creature might be there. I hope you guys enjoyed this bizarre story from the subscribers. And if you want to send in a story to appear in this segment, just send it to this email, inscritosleo@gmail.com. Alright, I'll stop here. Bye.
Subtitles by Adriana's